Hello everyone, Kent Bressler here. I want to welcome you to Kent's Kidney Stories. During our time together over these podcasts, I'd like to discuss kidney disease. I'd like to tell you about my journey as a transplant patient, but also talk about dialysis, kidney donation, and just about anything else that might be of interest. Kent's Kidney Stories, podcast endorsed and sponsored by kidneysolutions.org. Hello, everybody. Ken Bressler again. We're going to do some podcasting. I know I tell you that every time we start these sessions, but I don't know what else to say. This has become a really fun project for me. And I'm hoping out there, we've had some really nice emails and things have come to us via email and texting. Please do that. Let me know how this is going. And you never know, we might be able to even improve this thing if you can get with us. I have some interesting things to talk about, and we'll do that a little bit later. But first, I want to start with prayer. So get yourself ready. Let's say a little prayer this morning. Dearest Lord, there's nothing that we don't have problems with if we come to you with it. There's plenty of bad things, if you will, going on in the world, and there's all kinds of consternation and fear and anger, and all those things can be remedied just by coming to you with our thankfulness and our hope that you can straighten the situations out. No one in their right mind could possibly do any of this without you. And we ask that for all those out there that are suffering, all the people on the waiting list, all the people that are now in very sick and in a dark place, reach out to them, Lord, protect them, put your arms around them. Jonathan is in surgery this morning to have a kidney. This is a great time for him and Melissa and his family. And Jonathan, I know that you'll listen to this at some time. This prayer is for you. Dearest Lord, make sure that the surgeons are ready, but most of all, put Jonathan's heart at rest and let him turn it over to you. We ask this in your name. Amen. Okay, Today, it's been a while since I've had somebody to talk to that knows a lot about kidney disease. And it's amazing. This guy that I'm going to bring on today, his name's Richard Knight, and he's president of AAKP, American Association of Kidney Patients. I've known him for a good while, 6 or 7 years, and we've done a lot of things together. But the biggest thing about Richard is he's a kidney warrior. He's had a kidney transplant, and not going to take anything away from him, but he's also very knowledgeable, and he sits right in an area where he can do kidney people do a lot of things good for the kidney space. And he's been doing it for years. Well educated, understanding, and a great friend. So welcome, Richard.
Kent, it's good to join you. We've been talking about this for a while, so I'm glad we finally have the opportunity to sit down and talk.
Yeah, we got around to scheduling it, but it's not like there's been anything going on in the world, like COVID and all that. And the fact that we always used to get together and sit down before we started our meetings face to face, that's not happening anymore. And that really hurts me a lot, because at least we can Zoom, but man, there's nothing like being able to
nothing like face to face. That's something that we all miss.
Yeah, being able to give you a hug and just say, keep on working. I get to see you on email. I get to see you on all of our Zoom conferences, and you're a good man. And I want you to know that.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah, this is not something that is hard for me to say, but you have the kidney population and the kidney world in your heart, and that's what's most important. Tell me about your transplant. Tell me how you got into kidney transplants.
My transplant was really was an act of faith. As you know, you spent a grand total of 2 days on it. But for those of us who had the good fortune of spending a little bit longer on dialysis, one of the most important things that you can do is to keep your spirit up. And as I tell people, I'm a half full as opposed to half empty person. And I told the people at the facility I would always be compliant, but I will never accept sitting in a chair for the rest of my life.
Amen.
And my strategy was to educate people. Once I found out a little bit more about it myself, the fact that you could live successfully with just one kidney, then it was a question of finding the kidney. I went to my brothers. I had three brothers. I had four brothers. One passed, but I had three brothers. They all had challenges. One was diabetic, one was overweight, and one had some other bad habits that prohibited him from donating the kidney. Went to other family members, and based on HIPAA, they couldn't. It was never disclosed to me what the issues were. And I've been active in the community. I belong to a chamber of commerce.
Sure.
Ran a small business, and one of the board members, actually the board chair, was out with one of her friends and was sharing with her that I was on dialysis. She says, well, I really couldn't tell because I was still functioning, working. But if you didn't know me beforehand, you couldn't really tell. But she said, Richard's a good guy. I'll give him a kidney. And my friend, who was the board chair, said, well, tell him, don't tell me. I got a kidney. I got a kidney. But
that's what I love about you.
At our next function, she walked up to me and told me that she would, it was a fundraiser in February of 2006. She told me that she would give me a kidney. And I thanked her, very appreciative. But as you know, you're cautiously optimistic because you understand everything that is involved in actually having someone donate a kidney, the battery of tests. I shared that with her. She said, Rich, that's no problem. Let me know what I need to do. And I put her in touch with my transplant coordinator at the Washington Hospital Center, followed up with her. But she did not tell me that the young lady had to change jobs. And because she changed jobs, she had to accumulate some time enough to take off leave on her new job, which is one of the reasons why we fight for this Living Donor Protection Act. She was a living donor. So it started in February, and actually in October was when I was told that you need to come on in because your donor's ready.
Oh, wow.
And I'll tell you, my experience on dialysis, like most people, you go through the ups and downs physically, but the main thing is the mental issues that you deal with. And we don't learn, and we're not equipped enough to deal with that. The depression, the cognitive impairment, the anxiety, the other things that your body goes through. So they put you on that machine and take care of you physically, but mentally and emotionally, there's a lot of things that are left for the patient to deal with. And I make that clear to all the docs. That's what you need to talk with patients about, find out how they are, get them some help. And that's one of the roles that we play at AAKP, to give the patient someone to talk to. But long story short, I went in at 5:30 on a Tuesday morning. And when I woke up that evening, it literally felt like I had a 50-pound weight lifted from around my neck. She was a living donor. She was fairly healthy. And when I got that kidney, the doctor told me, Rich, you're in great shape. You just don't have a kidney. You will feel the effects immediately. I said, 2-3 weeks? He said, no, I mean immediately. That night, when I woke up, I thought they had drugged me because I couldn't believe that I felt that well.
Yeah.
And hung around the house because, they fill you full of fluids. And once they put the kidney in you and it starts working, all those toxins that are inside your body, even though you're on dialysis, that large, sophisticated dialysis machine does not even begin to do the amount of work in terms of cleansing your body that your kidney does. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, I had no complications, no issues. The staples in my stomach felt a little bit strange. But after getting used to those, and they told me, you have to walk.
Yep.
So
Yep.
the next day, what are you doing? I'm getting up and walking. You better call somebody here to put
Yep.
this bag up.
Pick it up. We're moving on. Hurry up.
Because we're going walking. And let me just say that it was a blessing. I was very fortunate. 2.5 years on dialysis is a long period of time, but I know many who have been on dialysis for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Some have been on for 30 years. My mentor, Bernie Holmes, was on for 31 years, had 2 transplants, none of them stuck.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot about yourself. And married at the time, 2 kids, running a business, on a board at my son's school, on a board at the Chamber of Commerce, president of the Boys and Girls Club. I was doing all that while I was on dialysis. And
Never missed a beat.
No, I was probably functioning at 75, 80%. And again, very fortunate because I was in fairly good shape.
Yeah.
I did have a flexible dialysis facility that would let me come in. If they had to open at 6:30 in the morning, my session was at 3 in the afternoon, they'd call me, I'll be there in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'd be able to go in and get taken care of early in the day as opposed to later in the afternoon.
Did there have nowadays? That's kind of tough because they're so full. I mean,
That's right.
That's one of the difficulties with dialysis. And that's why I know you're in the same camp that I am. Let's try to get people transplanted. Let's try to get them transplanted before they have to go on dialysis, because it's hard to get a chair. It's hard to even do it at home.
It's hard to get a chair. And the reality is, one of our mantras is this: early diagnosis, educate the patient, slow the progression, explore a preemptive transplant.
Exactly.
One of the issues I have with the industry, and I will say that since we've been engaged, it's happened more often. At least people are aware of it. Talk with your doctor about the possibility. If you have a brother, like you did, you have brothers, sisters, cousins, somebody who's willing to do it, at least check into it. And I said, there's no guarantee, but the fact of the matter is that if you don't have to go on dialysis, I almost find it criminal that someone will put you on dialysis without exploring the other options.
You have that right, Mr. Knight. You have that exactly right. It's horrible that a person doesn't get the options well ahead of when they have to go on. Aside from acute kidney injury, we don't worry about that. That's a different issue. I'm talking about a diagnosis at stage 3 or sooner, even stage 4, somewhere along the line. You have to have options. You as a patient deserve options. You've always told us that too. I've talked to you about it.
Well, yes, and I will say that with the executive order, president's executive order that's in place, putting the pressure on earlier diagnosis, the primary care physician must step up. CMS has put out some guidance to help the primary care physicians. They have a tough job, but 30+% of the patients go on dialysis from the emergency room.
Yeah.
What that means is that they're not being diagnosed early enough. Now, we know that there are cases, FSGS and other things that may happen where it just all of a sudden springs up. But for the most part, diabetes being number 1, and there's no secret about diabetes.
Nope.
Blood pressure, hypertension being number 2 cause, there's no secret about that.
Nope.
The minute that you go to the doctor and they determine that you have one of those 2 issues, there ought to be mention of the possibility of dialysis and what that means, what you can do to prevent it. And you ought to become aware of a nephrologist. Many of them don't do it, and we have to do a better job.
Okay, that whole concept then, it goes back to early diagnosis. You have to have some type of person like a nephrologist that's willing to see you early on.
Yep.
Because PCP is not going to handle this kind of thing. Most of them won't, and they can't. So once you have protein in your urine and or elevated blood pressure, there's got to be a reason, and that ought to be explored, not just, quote, watched. Let's just watch this.
You mentioned that. You're a healthcare professional. In 1996, I could not get life insurance. Why is that? I went to my primary care physician. Well, you have protein in your urine. What does that mean? Can you give me a pill? Can we get rid of it? He said, well, no, some insurance companies are picky about that. I was at a meeting once and one doctor said, well, he probably didn't understand what the doctor said. I said, I wear contacts. I don't see very well, but I can hear like a hawk.
Yeah.
I understand very clearly what the doctor said. And he made no mention of anything kidney related. And I recall about when I was on dialysis, I started dialysis in July of 2004. I recall very clearly as I began to study for myself, one passage that said, protein in your urine is a clear indication of impending kidney failure.
Yeah.
And that burned a hole in my brain like somebody sticking a branding torch to you. And I said, I'll be damned.
Never forget that.
No one ever told me that. And that back in 1996, if I had become aware that I had potentially had kidney issues, then I could have started that process that much sooner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the same track record I had. I started back in 84.
Okay.
I got drafted in 1970. And guess what I had in my urine on physical? Protein in my urine.
Wow.
Okay, in 1970. And I remember the medic saying, oh, you have protein in your urine. Did you know that? And I said, no. I said, what's that going to do? Is it get me out? He says, oh, no, you're going. You got drafted. You're going. So,
wow.
And so take a look at that. And I was transplanted in 87, 70 and 80s. That's 17 years. Now tell me, is there not some kind of indication in there that's early detection? I was already,
that's right.
Was already confirmed I had kidney disease in 1970.
Isn't that something? And again, I'm suggesting to folks, if you go and have lab work done and certain numbers pop up, why can't bells and whistles go off? Why can't we use AI? Why can't we use that? If you got it, when they do your blood work and find out that you have a creatinine level that's, your first time, and you compare it to the second time and you see that it's increasing. When I went to the emergency room, my creatinine level was 13.5. Yeah.
I was transplanted 17.
Which is crazy. So, as they say, I'm a soccer guy. I say, I got to take out a yellow card on that one.
Yeah.
I get a yellow card on that one. That's quite frankly, that's unacceptable.
Yeah, but that's what we're dealing with, and especially in the minority communities.
Oh, don't get me started.
We don't even want to go there right now with this. But I tell you, until the kidney world understands protein and high blood pressure is an indicator.
That's right.
Mild increase in creatinine. It's that simple. Those are the endpoints.
I am so torn between keeping some sense of sanity and not just exploding.
Exactly.
We're all aware of healthcare disparities, and the thing that COVID-19 has done, it's really put a spotlight on it and magnified it.
Yep.
Trust me, I am for all patients have an opportunity to get a kidney.
Absolutely.
But regardless of who it might be, if there's a group that has some special situations that occur, we need to focus on that. I happen to be an African American, and I'm fully aware of the fact that that's an area that we need focus. And one of the things that social unrest has done, it has brought that to the attention of folks. Now the question is, what do we do?
Yeah, exactly. And that's where AAKP comes in.
Absolutely.
We need to embrace this whole process, buddy. I'm going to tell you in my heart, I believe we need to really drive forward as hard as we can, and we need to stress early detection. We're not doing it enough. Well, we have got to do something.
There's a couple of things that we do at AAKP. Of course, our mission to advocate, educate, and really promote the concept of patient engagement. But under the caption of educating, we need to do a better job of educating. We've just had our policy summit. We're doing a global summit. We have our annual patient meeting coming up. But one of the things, and now you can help me with this because you are doing it. one of the things that I want to see if we can do a better job of, I want to engage more with support
Who
groups. I want to be able to, your support group is up and going. You're a tremendous leader. You're doing things. You're getting things done. Everybody doesn't have that. So
Yeah.
I'm going to make it a policy. We have a list of support groups, but I'm going to be reaching out to them personally.
Yeah.
And talking with those who want to get more engaged, make myself available to join some of their sessions and talk with them and see if we can do it. Sending social media is great, but having a conversation with somebody, maybe not face to face, but Zoom to Zoom, has a tremendous impact.
Well, I bought into support groups long ago because I was a participant and I benefited from them. It wasn't a matter of me figuring it out. I figured out the best way to do it is people love to talk. Yep. They may like to talk about themselves, but eventually they come around talking about kidney disease. And if you can't talk about kidney disease and you've got it, boy, behind the 8 ball, you don't have a chance. You don't stand a chance.
That's right. And the interesting thing is the number of people who have it, but they have no information. Now, I always tell docs at the dialysis facilities, I'm not saying you didn't tell it to them. I'm just saying they don't get it.
Right.
I've been teaching college since 1980s. And one thing I know for certain, you can look at somebody straight in their face and tell them something 2 or 3 times. And, oh, yes, I understand it. Ask them that in the quiz, and they don't have a clue.
Nope.
So it's incumbent upon us, those of us who have knowledge and information, to do a better job of sharing it. And I think that support groups is a strategy along with everything else that we do.
Well, that strategy is sound because of what support groups really do for you. It gets the quiet ones and the ones that don't understand what's going on. It gives them a chance to mention it. We had a great one last night. We had 11. No, we had 9 people there. 3 of them were brand new.
Okay.
We had a multitude of race in there and people that were, but they were all this group last night were all transplants except for 2 who were looking. Okay. All right. And that's the key is that if you stay focused on kidney disease, okay, in one group, the other group that I have, we focus on transplants that allows the hearts and the livers and the pancreases and people to come in and just talk. I mean, they have problems and they don't have anybody to talk to in a small community.
Yep. And
in big communities, it's probably much more difficult. In the small communities, it builds. It just keeps building and building and building. And Jason, all these people that have come, I think they benefit from it. I know I benefit because not helping people, but just letting them vent.
Yep, absolutely. And that's to be able to talk with somebody that truly understands your situation.
Yes.
Many times I talk and as one lady said, well, next time you come, can you bring a patient? And I rolled up my sleeve and the patient said, oh, he's a patient. And she said, look at his arm.
Yeah.
Patients know immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they say, well, you really understand? I said, well, yeah, I understand. I've been. They said, I said, yeah, I'm a patient. And once a patient, you're always a patient.
Yeah, because you're always just a dance away. Like my dad used to say, you're only a dance away from losing everything.
That's right. That's right.
And if you view it like that, and you don't have someone to bounce something off of, you're in big trouble. If you think you can hold it all inside, handle it by yourself,
doesn't work.
And you're going to fail. You will fail. And
you need to have someone to talk to. And again, bouncing ideas off of to get education. I had a guy tell me, this is Rich, you may not think so because you're African American, but you don't need to be out in the sun. And I said, come again? He said, yeah, the meds that you're on, you will easily get skin cancer.
Absolutely.
And I didn't know that.
Yeah.
This is about maybe my second year after my transplant. He said, so regardless of what they may tell you, if you're taking immunosuppressive medication, you're more susceptible to getting skin cancer.
And it is magnified twofold, threefold, especially if you don't cover up. You don't have to wear screen.
Mm-hmm.
You just cover up. You should wear it, but by golly, if you're just walking around short sleeved and no hat and anything, you're asking for trouble. And I don't care what color your skin is.
Asking for trouble. And you know, when I go walking, I go out pretty early. I said, when the sun's come up, it's too late. I don't mind sweating, but that's not the point. I don't need to be out in the sun.
No, between 10 and 4, you're at the biggest risk of your life. 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's at the peak. And at other times, and it's okay to walk without it.
Yeah.
But again, it's the accumulation every day. So, yeah.
But you know, I get a report once a month, and it's from a young lady that works with a law firm, and it's a list of the number of people waiting for transplants. And right now, we have 92,000 people waiting for kidney transplants.
Say that again.
I said, right now, we have 92,000 patients waiting for kidney transplants. The total list is about 110, 112, but the vast majority of them are kidney patients. We have a lot of technology. We're talking about implantable kidneys. We're talking about wearable jackets. We're talking about a whole host of different innovations. But right now, good old-fashioned kidneys are what's needed.
Exactly. That means signing up.
It means signing up, but it also means maintaining the kidney that you have longer.
Exactly.
And I think, I'm going to tell you something. I'm not interested in having another transplant, which means that I want to keep this one that I have. I'm going on, it'll be 14 years in a couple of months.
14 years.
14. I'm just a baby compared to yours. So, listen, if I can keep mine as long as you have yours, I'm certain that I'll be looking up from the ground by the time that comes. Jesus.
You'll do it. Why will you do it? Because you think about it.
Absolutely.
It's the top of your world. That kidney means more to you than anything.
That's right. You know, interesting story. When I was in the hospital, September 2018 for pneumonia, they were doing things to me, and I'm a regular old patient now. I asked them about AKI, and they said, "Well," I said, "Well, you need to measure. You need to measure my urine. My creatinine level has gone up by 40%." They're just looking at me. 3 days later, they bring in a blood specialist because they couldn't figure out what was wrong. And they said, "Did you monitor his urine for 24 hours? And they just looked. And they said, "Didn't his creatinine level increase by 40%? And they said, "Well," I said, "Some of us patients know a little bit about ourselves. And you're worried about me offending somebody?
No.
So let me tell you something. This is my life."
That's right.
And you're going to take care of that pneumonia, and I appreciate that. I'm going to take care of my kidney.
That's right. And that is the top of the walk right there.
That's right. It's not either or.
No. That's it. And you, when you were sick, I remember when you were sick, you still kept on because you knew you were under good care, but you're the one that initiate all of the things. You can go in and lay in the hospital bed for 2 or 3 days, and they don't even know that you have a kidney problem. Or
that's right.
I've had people, I've said to them, "Well, you know, I've been there for a couple of days," and I told one of the nurses, "Do you ever see where they put a transplanted kidney?" And they say, "No, where is it?" And I show them, I literally pull my gown up and show them, "Here it is. Put your hand on that. Feel that kidney." And that's how important it is for a person to be responsible for themselves. That's said right.
It. Especially when they don't know.
Exactly.
So I have 3. What do you mean you have 3? They don't take them out? I said, no.
No, they
just
don't.
Leave them in.
Yeah.
Why would they do that? Trying to minimize the cutting.
Yeah.
You know, the less surgery, the better.
Yeah, and the chance of infection.
Absolutely.
I want to go back to one topic that you expressed. I mean,
Mhm.
it was the executive order. There's a couple things in that executive order that stood out for me. And that first one was early detection, which we've already talked about.
Yes.
The other was a symbolizing that they're actually going to push to cover immunosuppressive drugs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, explain that for our listeners.
Well, 2003 was the first introduction of legislation for immunosuppressive medication. And if you have any type of organ transplant, then you need medication to help your body maintain it, because your body will recognize it as not being part of you and attack it. The immunity suppressant medication stops your body from doing that. With kidneys, that medication will only be paid for 36 months. So if you don't have insurance that will cover it, and you can't afford those medications and all of the rules, and they tell you that that's out there are many people, for whatever situations, that cannot afford it. They lose their kidney, and instead of Medicare paying $15,000 to $20,000 for your medication, and with generics it could be less, they may end up back on dialysis, and you end up paying, or Medicare ends up paying $80,000 to $90,000 for your dialysis treatment.
Yep.
Now,
you lose the kidney.
One thing that's for certain, when you start talking about legislation, we're not talking about logic. Because, of course, one will say that's a tremendous savings. That's not how the Congressional Budget Office works. So it was this term that they had the research done. The Secretary of HHS, Secretary Azar, had the research done, and they were able to show, one analysis showed that over 10 years, they would save $70 million. Another analysis showed that over 10 years, it would be a $300 million cost saving. The operative word is that it was a savings, as opposed to it being a cost where they had to figure out how to pay for it. So recently, the bill was signed out of committee, and I must say that Congressman Burgess from Texas, who's a big proponent and a supporter of the legislation, he signed into the record a letter that was jointly written by AAKP, AST, the American Society of Transplantation, ASTS, the American Society of Transplant Surgeons. We'd all written a letter of support, and that was a proud moment. Now it's going to the full committee, and we hope one of the things that will happen with our fearless legislators, that before they recess for the year, if they pass anything that's going, of course, they're going to pass a CARES legislation at some point. We're hoping that this can be included in it.
Yeah.
But the main thing is that it's probably made as much progress this term as it has for the past
12
16
years
or 17, 12 years.
12 years I've been working with this thing. I've been on the agenda, and we've worked with advocacy. But you're exactly right. So if we want to save money, that's not the point. We want to save kidneys.
That's right.
And so by saving money, we're actually saving kidneys.
Absolutely.
So you save someone's kidney, then they don't have to go back on dialysis, just like you said, because dialysis is a budget stopper right there. $600 billion.
Absolutely.
All right. So aside from all that, you and I have always written our congressmen. We've called them. That's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
You tell them you want that immunosuppressive bill. You want to get on that horse and ride with it.
That's right.
So it's immunosuppressive bill, and that needs to be passed. I can't remember the number. 5334 or something like that.
Yeah, you know what? The number's not important. As a matter of fact, if you belong to AAKP, we have our system set up.
Yeah.
You just sign up and go in. You fill out your name. You put your address, zip code, and it's going to generate a letter that will go to your congressman and your 2 senators.
Yep.
So we make it very easy, and we have the largest patient voter registration in the country for kidney patients. And we're pushing that as well. We don't tell people how to vote. We just want them to register.
Want them
to
out
vote.
there and voting. Absolutely.
Because when we go,
Register.
if I go and talk with your congressman or your senator from Texas, and he says, well, you're not, what am I? I said, no, I'm not. But I'm president of the American Association of Kidney Patients, and I have 3,000 patients that are from this state.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have a very different conversation.
Yeah.
Than just being somebody in from off the streets.
Can I beat up Texas right now, other than Bert? Okay, let me beat him up. 36 districts. One person has co-sponsored the Living Donor Act. One.
Woo!
And I'm not proud of that, and I'm working really hard to get my congressman to do it. But I'm telling you, if they don't link up and hook up, they aren't with us, because when it comes voting time, we don't know where they're headed. These guys have to have confidence in what we're doing, like we do, to understand the importance of it. If they don't get that, we're done.
Well, for many congressmen and senators, they're always challenged by a number of different issues.
Sure.
And the question is, one thing any congressman and senator can do is that they can count. Yep. And that's where we come in as our membership grows and we bring everybody into the mode and they begin. I mean, Texas is so large. How many potential patients do we have? Texas is like a country.
Yeah. I can't quote you any numbers, but I can tell you, and we'll go back to this again. I want to just reiterate that the people that are the most desperate in Texas are the Hispanics and the blacks when it comes to kidney. I'm just going to spell it out. I'm just going to tell you that. And for fact that it's the way it is in this country. If we can't bring them up to the level of good care to early detection, we're losing.
That's right. And I always tell people, I say, this is not a social issue.
It is.
This is a business and a quality of life, to the extent that anybody from any race, that we can save them from having to be on dialysis. A, that minimizes that cost, and B, if they're working, then they're contributing as opposed to taking from the system. It's really a workforce issue.
Absolutely.
And only in Washington, D.C. would they be arguing about giving you $600 in addition to your other unemployment, because people really need that money. People really need to go back to work.
Exactly. And I don't have any problem with it at all, because there's work out there.
That's what we need to focus. These politicians, I'm saying, what planet are they from? If somebody says, Richard, I'm going to give you $600 every week, but you can't work, well, what am I going to do?
Yeah, right. You're not going to work.
I say so you can't even do the volunteer work. I say, well, you better get out of here then, because I don't get paid for this. You don't get paid for what you're doing. It's part of the cause. It's part of our purpose, part of our mission in life.
It's part of saving lives.
That's right.
And when you've had your life saved, you can't do anything but from your heart drive to help others. That's
right. And that's that's a large piece of I've had conversations with many people, many of the healthcare professionals. Some are proponents of buying and selling of organs, and I say, well, I've seen these analysis done by these world-class economists. And I said, well, their analysis is incomplete. What do you mean incomplete? Man, this guy's a world-class economist. I said, his numbers are impeccable. But you prayed at the start of this meeting. You wouldn't find him praying. That's not something that resonates with him. And it's culture, it's religion, and it's the belief that a lot of people have. If they want to donate an organ, they don't want to do that for the money.
No.
They want to do that so that they can help someone. It's altruistic. And I said, when you start going the other way, I said, guess who loses out?
Yeah.
Those same people we talk about who need it the most. I told one guy, I said, so let me see. You can pay this guy for a kidney. You can pay him $15,000 So he gives you a kidney, and you give him a check for 5,000, not the 15. You give him a check for 5. Well, he's got somebody breathing down his back. He's not working. He looks at you and says, "Well, listen, you gave me $5,000 for that one kidney. Can I sell you my other one for $5,000?" And the guy said, "Richard, that's not funny." I said, "It's not meant to be funny, but that's what would happen. There would be those who would be taken advantage of, and we know this."
You'll get in this argument. And it just goes on and on and on and on again. But if you're not, it's still a heart thing, right? Kidneys and the heart are connected. And if your heart's doing if it's in it about the money, it doesn't make sense. And you think there's trouble getting donors now? Put a bounty on it. Yep. It'll get worse.
Much worse.
It's worse.
And then the guy says, "Well, in Iran," I said, "Okay, you're talking to me about something they do in Iran." I said, "I think you just hit on a game changer."
That's right.
Because you are certified. That's not how we're going to do that, because you never know what they're doing to their citizens. I don't know whether it's good or bad, but I'm not going to engage or go down that route.
Here's something I hope that this little segment here, that people hear this. We had a fella that wrote us an email from London, England.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I listened to one of your podcasts from Scott. I won't say last name. And
right.
He was a donor, and he talked to my heart. And this guy said, "I'm leaving that was last Monday. He's currently now in Vienna, Austria, giving a kidney to one of his friends." Okay.
Good for him.
Now that's what donation is all about.
That's right. Absolutely.
You can't that ain't worth $15,000. That ain't worth $500,000.
You can't put a price tag on that.
You can't
do it.
On it. No. But what it does, and you tell people that story, and they say, "Wow, how did he do that?" That's when you got an opening. He did it just like this. It's a friend, but you can do it by yourself. You don't even need a friend. Everybody's your friend. Give a kidney.
That's right. That's right. And it's something that I think the more people understand it, and that's our challenge, to get it out there and explain it to people.
Yep.
And to have somebody give someone else the gift of life. Particularly, it doesn't matter whether you're single, whether you have a family or not, but when you're a parent, you got kids.
Yeah.
When you need to work, if you're a single parent, you need to work to be able to take care of your family and things of that nature. And you can try, but when you're on dialysis, and it affects everybody differently.
Oh, sure.
Everybody differently. Some people can go to dialysis, they have to rest up, and as soon as they get enough energy, it's another day for dialysis.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember the first dialysis I had.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the hospital, and they took 10 pounds off of me. Ooh. And I thought I was going to die. All right. And the doctor came in the next morning. He said, "How are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm going to just tell you one thing, Doc. You're a real close friend of mine, but don't put me on there again. All right? I want to go home." And he said, "You have one more session this afternoon, then we're going to transplant you. All right?
All right.
Your brother, it's all set up. You're going to transplant." I took that second one. I don't know how much. I didn't care. I just wanted to get through it. I wanted that transplant.
Yeah.
And I'm not bragging about that. What I'm just saying is, you said people are different on dialysis. Yep. I've known people that have been on it for ages, and all they think of it's okay for me because I'm able to live. I get that.
Yeah.
All right. But I'm telling you, this whole kidney disease process sucks.
Yeah. And the unfortunate thing with COVID-19 out here.
Yeah.
Not only is it impacting the kidneys, but they're beginning to find out, particularly for some of the younger people, that it's impacting their heart. Yep. So you think about some of these athletes who are very healthy, they will recover, but the lingering effect on their heart, and the reality is that they don't know yet.
That's right. And we don't, because it's novel. It's so new. Everybody, well, you're doing this and you're doing that. We're exploring because we don't have any options. We've got
That's right.
We've got to work. all the drugs that we're using, all that they are developing, what about the drug that comes along for the treatments? HIV they never found a cure for that.
No.
It's a treatment.
I just looked at a commercial last night. HIV. I'm kind of conservative. And so they said, well, it doesn't cure you, but there's no transmission during sex, and you're living a life. Basically, you can live a life worry-free of certain things. Now, they haven't found a cure, but in terms of quality of life, people who have that are able to live a decent quality of life. So
absolutely,
we may get to something like that before we get to a vaccine that works. But, I'm amazed at the money that is being spent. I'm amazed at the money, and people don't really understand the issue about school, kids being in school and not being in school. And I've had to, as I'm sure you've had to too, Ken, I've had to tell people to stop watching the news.
Yeah. I don't
Stop watching the news because it's political. It's not based on any science. It's based on, I'm going to get you. You're a bad guy, and I'm going to get you.
It's a sensationalism. It's entertainment. No longer news.
That's right. And I live in Prince George's County. We have 27%, 24 counties in the state of Maryland. We're a single county, and we have 27% of the cases.
Yeah.
And they're saying, well, we'll only give you like limited tests. I said, let me see who made that rule up. And then a friend of mine says, well, you can go to CVS. You just have to call and make an appointment online, and they'll give you that test for free. I said, well, that's what we need to put out there because the county people are talking about. I said, we got 27% of the cases in the state, and you're talking about the money of tests. What is your delegation for?
That's right. Right.
We got counties where they only have 200 or 300. We've got like 12,000.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to shake your head, Kent, and wonder what some of these elected folks are going through. But that's why, as patients, we have to advocate. And I'm proud to say that across the board, we're advocating for a lot of things that have impact for patients, kidney patients in general. But if you got kidney issues, you may have some heart issues.
That's it. It's part of the body. Yeah, it doesn't. Don't
could
come
be
in.
Diabetes. When it's diabetes, it could be your eyes.
Yeah.
It could be, extreme parts of your body that may have to go if you're not compliant. I mean, it impacts so many different things.
Right.
And obesity is an issue. So, and as I tell people, there's some things, a lot of times the medication will cause you to have gout. And that's something that's unpleasant. I mean,
yeah.
Anybody who has that is probably shaking their head.
I've had it in almost every joint. Yeah, at some point in my life, and I've just kind of sort of like grown out of it. That's another story. You come back and talk about gout anytime. No, you've had it.
Oh yeah,
I know others had it, which I wanted to mention. Within AAKP, I wanted to mention Paul and Dan and Ed and Aaron and Diana and our new girl that took over for Deb.
Jennifer.
Jennifer, yeah,
she's doing great. Matter of fact, she went to school in the great state of Texas.
There you go. That's our in with her. Anyway, the cooperation we've dropping these podcasts on AAKP. So you can go on, get a direct link to any of those. 23 different sessions so far. And so AAKP's like that. They want the word out. It's not competition to them. What they want is to get the word out. Yep. And I just wanted to thank you as president for the opportunity that Jason and I have had to get these things parked on the website. It's miraculous. We're getting hits on those quite a bit. So
good.
It's something I think that I tried to get as many people. I had Kevin Fowler on. I tried to get all the AKP people on and some NKF people, AKF. Anybody that's got kidney disease, I want to talk to them. I want to talk to them like I've talked to you today.
Well, everybody's got a different perspective,
Exactly.
different insights, and you never know who you'll resonate with out there in the audience.
Nope. And somebody's saying, they turn you right off. I don't know. I've had some very interesting comments on them, and fortunately so far, probably knock on wood now, I haven't had any challenges, because I'm sure I've made mistakes.
Good.
So, but the
Again,
point is,
you've talked with a lot of people. I've listened to quite a few of the podcasts, and it's just good information.
yeah, I want to, if there's anything that we can put on here that you guys want us to do, I'm trying to get Paul on, but that'll be probably try to, we'll see. I was going to have both of you on, but I just thought, well, we'll just be telling stories and that won't work.
Yeah, we won't get to anything health-wise. No, Paul's doing a great job. I always mention that. Paul's a past president.
Yep.
And he works as hard now as he did when he was president.
Yeah.
Most people fade into the background. We made a commitment early on. We decided to ascend to leadership that we would support each other.
Yep.
And we're looking to, continue on with that, because again, it's for something that's much greater than him and I individually.
Exactly. Let me say one thing about that, and I say this to the folks that I work with. They're looking for donors, or when I work with anybody, when I go and do a talk, and I put you two in this category. It's the person who will draw their last breath helping the kidney patient, and that's you and Paul and a lot of guys on the board. But I'm just saying, at an administrative and a helpful level that you're at, having that last breath and working up to it, that's what gets things done.
Good.
Right?
We're glad that people recognize it. We're going to continue to do what we can to push the envelope, educate patients, to carry on with our mission. And again, because we're one of the only patient-led organizations, no disrespect to anybody else, but we're patients led by patients. And that's what we do. 50
years of working with kidney patients.
Yeah.
For kidney patients, not with them, for them.
That's right.
And always allowing them an opportunity to express themselves, but we protect them. And that's what I like about AAKP. We're out to protect the individual kidney patient.
Absolutely.
Period. That's
absolutely. And it's sometimes, people get a hold of bad information.
Sure.
And I said, well, who's going to benefit from that? Say not the patients.
Nobody.
Somebody else. But, patients are trusting because they feel that all people are out there to help them. And unfortunately,
that's not true.
Many people are in this for the money.
That's right. Okay, buddy, listen, I want to talk to you for the rest of the day. You got anything on your schedule, or can we go ahead and keep going till the end of the day here on this conversation?
The end of the day is tough.
Okay. Yeah.
I got a few other projects ringing me up.
I know you do. So I'm gonna have you back. I'm still toying with the idea of having you and Paul together, but I don't think that will. But we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
we'll definitely see what happens.
We'll glide through there. Let me just end this up and get everybody on the road, because I just wanted to tell everybody now that in these times of COVID, you got to mask up. You've got to social distance. You got to keep out of crowds because you're compromised. Everybody needs to do it, but if you're a kidney patient, if you're transplanted or you're on dialysis, you need to be taking care of yourself. We don't want to rely on somebody else to take care of you. You've got to take care of yourself, protect yourself. The most important thing to remember is you're not alone out there. Kidney disease affects millions of people, and there's hundreds and thousands of people that can answer your questions. You just got to seek them out. Yeah. Make sure that you advocate for yourself. All right. Don't rely on somebody else to take care of you. Take care of yourself. And I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm going to thank you a whole lot, Richard. I'm going to have you back. You know too much to be silent.
Love to do it. Love to do it. Enjoy the conversation.
We're going to do it. Okay, folks.
Put it out there.
Yeah, we're going to do it. Okay, folks. Pay attention. I want you to keep breathing.